Do you ever feel like life's just conspiring against you? I feel a bit like that today. Normally I would spend a lot of time and I would write a script and I would make bullet points about what I'm going to talk about, but today just feels a lot more raw than it normally would. Last night I turned my ankle. I fell down a pothole. I'm so angry at the local council and I just want someone to blame. And it dawned on me that that's something that we can do quite often. We tend to look for people to blame, and instead of working on like how to fix it, what to do now, how could I even prevented it, we straight away just look for someone to blame. And it got me thinking, like, who does that actually help? Because I'm not sure that really helps me right now. I've got my ankle, it's blown up like a bloody balloon, it's bruising starting to come out. I was on my way to play touch rugby and I'm gutted because I felt I really needed that. But it did make me think that we want things the most when we no longer have them. So for the last few weeks I've been a little bit slow to get out and run. I've been a bit slow to get out to the gym and to go and play touch rugby, and now that I've bust my ankle and I'm probably not going to be able to for at least a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, I'm just really pissed off with it. I'm really miffed by it. Whereas a week ago I took it for granted, and I think we can do that a hell of a lot. We take stuff for granted right up until the point where we lose it. And now, the idea of just sort of having to sit round and rehab my ankle and just get it all sorted so that I can start training again. I kick myself. I'm absolutely kicking myself that I should have been out doing more training, playing rugby more, going to the gym more, do more running, and I didn't. I genuinely took it for granted. But this whole situation's kind of got me thinking, because my wife told me a formula not long ago, and it's for exactly these moments in time where things go wrong and life just gets a little bit railroaded and you get a little bit of a sideswipe, because it happens, doesn't it? I wish life could just be so easy and smooth all the time, but that's just not realistic. We've got to go through these cycles, these peaks and troughs, the peaks where we're doing incredibly well. But the crap thing then is, because we are doing well, we start to take our eye off the ball. We start to lose a little bit of that motivation. That's the point where determination has to take over, but we constantly feel we try and rely on motivation. And then naturally, because we take the eye off the ball, things start to drop right to the very bottom, where you're just so desperate for things to change that motivation is at its highest. So this is the natural flow, the peaks and troughs, and then add to that the complexities of life, like work problems, money problems, family problems, health issues, even injuries like I've had in the last sort of 12 hours. They happen, and the formula my wife told me is a great way to handle yourself when these things happen. And the formula is E+R equals O. So E is the event. That's the thing that you can very often do very little against. Stephen Covey talked about having two circles in his very popular book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talked about one circle, which is the circle of influence. These are all the things that are going on in our lives that we can actually influence right now with our actions. And then there's the circle of concern. And the circle of concern is all those things that are happening, and we have no power over them. They're beyond our influence. And this is the crappy thing with a lot of things. The longer you leave things, the more they sort of pour into the circle of concern until you get to the point where you literally cannot do anything about it. So the key message there is to focus on that circle of influence. Focus on doing the things that you need to do before they end up in the circle of concern and you have no power over them. But fundamentally, there are events that happen that we just cannot do anything about. Turning my ankle, you could argue I could have done something about it, but it was a dark night, there was headlights in my eyes, I was in a bit of a rush. The council, the week before, had repaired this water pipe and just not done anything with this pothole that was in the middle of the road. Anyway, I turned my ankle and that's that. But I can't do anything about it now. Nothing I can do now will take away the pain, will take away the fact that I'm going to be static, not being able to do exercise for the next couple of weeks or whatever. And that's the outcome, isn't it? The outcome is the result. We've had this event and there's very little we can do about that. And then there's the outcome. Now, we can't just conjure up the outcome, but what we can work on is our response. And that's the R. The E is the event plus your response will dictate your outcome. And that's the formula I want to leave you with today. The event plus your response equals the outcome. And so if now I could just sulk, eat loads of crap food and just satisfy my depression through food. We've all been there, we've all done it. Ultimately, where does that get me? That could push my health further into the circle of concern. It's not going to speed up my rehabilitation or, healing my injury. Or I could make sure that I'm using my crutch. A little bit of self-massage, making sure I'm eating right and just looking after it. Just follow the protocols that we all know. Protect it, rest it, ice it, elevate it when I can. Just encourage blood flow to help with the healing. I can do all these things and it's part of my response. Blaming the council, not really going to get me anywhere. It might make me feel better because I can point the finger and I can say, it's your fault. But really, what does it do? It just creates a bit of anger inside you. And middle-aged men don't need any more anger. We don't need to be that stereotypical bloke just kicking off because the world's done him a shitting. So what is my response? Well, my response is I have been resting it. I've got an old walking stick out of the garage and I've been using that to kind of move around. I put a little bit of protection on there with some strapping just to look after a little bit, a few little painkillers just to ease the pain a little bit, and I'm cracking on. And I'm going to use this time where I'm going to be sat still and doing nothing to continue to work on the retreats and this channel and record these videos because, hey, I can do these videos without my ankle. I don't need my ankle to be doing this kind of thing. So I need to focus on what I can influence, what I can do, what I can keep doing during this time. And the blame, finding out who is responsible, that's done, isn't it? It's done. Just let it go. And in terms of that, sometimes when you think that's really hard to let it go, I know exactly what you mean. But I remember, I always tell this story about my wife. She was carrying these feelings, really angry. I was driving down the road and I said, look, what's up with you? And she told me, someone had stitched her up or whatever. You couldn't let it go. You really just couldn't let it go. And I was like, look, that's more damaging than it is kind of helpful. So you got to let it go. She's like, I can't. And I was like, right, stop the car. So I made her stop the car and I said, right, burp into these hands. She's like, what? I said, come on, burp into these hands. And I made her go burp into my hands. I said, right, wind the window down. Wind it down. And I made her wind the window down and I threw it out and I said, right, that's it, gone. The blame, who's responsible, all that is gone. Isn't. Just get it out and just move on. And she was like, yeah, you're right. I feel better. I feel better already. And then from there, she could now be productive as opposed to being destructive with what she was doing before. So a little bit of ramblings. Like I said, I normally script this and try and make it a little bit more crystal clear, but this one I just freestyle because I need to get it out. Anyway, I'm also dropping details of the Arctic Reset. So if you're struggling with life, feeling a bit lost, need to find yourself again, then you're going to want to check that out. It's happening in February 2026, the pilot course. So find the details and check it out. And if you're on my email list, I'll be sending out a little sweetener with that as well.